This is a one-up?
Yeah.
How'd you pitch it?
Did I draw? Oh, you'll find out. Hey everyone, this is Carbon. I bring you another standard match. Today we have myself with the same Ezel deck that we saw a couple of videos ago, going to be going up against Youthberk. So I will note that this video is from a couple weeks ago, so this is before set 13 has been released, so this is just going to be a set 12 Youthberk, and we'll see what it can do against Ezel with it, which is sporting that new promo, and we'll see how well we can actually take off against this. But anyways, Youth gonna be riding into grade 2 Youth, using the skill to check the top 3, calling a Cabre off of the top, and then chaining that skill using the Cabre skill to counterblast 1, soul blast 1, and then checking top 3, calling another one, getting a maple off the top. So overall, a very good start for Youth. We've got a full front row for basically free. We didn't commit any cards from hand except obviously the card we discarded to ride up. Now we did get rid of both of our soul, which is not really a huge problem. Youthberk isn't really a deck that uses soul. In fact, it's a deck that kind of amasses a lot of just extra soul. But this is kind of looking bad for me, especially with the Sequana coming on down. If I get a defensive here, it'll make things much easier. Thankfully, I did actually get a defensive here, pushing me to 18. I could want to pass this, but I decide I might as well play it safe, not risk taking any more damage, because being at 1 is totally fine with me. Unfortunately, you see me drawing into the order there. That is my one of that I want to be searching out with the grade 1. It's usually just pitch fodder for me, but I would prefer to search it out because that could have been any other card. And then, as we are going to be seeing here, I search out the, what is it called, the Beast King or whatever, and then use Ketergia to just add the card back to my hand, and then immediately pitch it in order to use a Bowmain skill in order to superior ride into Ezel. Now I can activate that Reign Supreme, King of Beaks, checking the top 7 cards of the deck. I do get to call any unit. It gets 5k. And actually, that's basically it. I really do like this card. I wish that this card was a little bit generic, but unfortunately it is not. We do see the benefits of playing the order package here, as that grade 1 is also going to be getting a 5k, making it a 13k. And off the top, I do actually get the promo, which I'm actually going to opt to call behind the grade 1, just because when you're playing Ezel, you always want to have each column having a card that can actually remove itself from board. The promo is one such card, and preferably probably want something like a Din Drain in the other line. But of course, you know that it's not actually relevant yet, because you can't use Ezel's skill unless your opponent's Vanguard is at grade 3, which is one of the big downfalls of Ezel as a deck, that it takes so long for it to actually do anything, because you have to, even though you can superior ride, you have to wait until your opponent gets to grade 3. We see the grade 2 coming on down here, using the skill to Soul Blast 1, since I did play an order this turn, to check the top 5 and call 1. I am actually going to be calling a copy of Ezel, my Persona ride, because as we're going to see, this new promo has allowed for a lot of very cool spice to be usable in this deck, and it allows for so many just cool and fun plays. As we start, we swing the Vanguard, going to be intercepted by that Maple, which is very naturally going to get back any turn. Drive checking into a critical cherry, dealing 2 damage, but thanks to the fact that we have basically an extra 10k to that column, it is going to be hitting at 38, allowing us to hit over the defensive, and we're going to be using its skill in order to actually bounce back a gold paladin in our back row, which of course is going to be that Ezel. So next turn I have guaranteed Persona ride, and things are looking basically exactly how you want to be doing. I feel like if you're not Persona riding in Ezel, you're kind of just losing out on tempo. You lose out on all the early game aggression that you have the access to, and it basically kind of goes downhill from there. But we do see a critical chariot flipped over, taking the first Youth attack, Revolve forming into the Tempest, checking the top 2, getting a 3 and a 0, which is very typical for Youthberk. Of course, I don't have any of those units on board, so it's not going to bot deck anything, but of course we do get a clean front row to the entire front row. And then this Quanta is going to allow this to have an extra drive. Swing for 18, which is a very awkward number. I could guard with a 15 and intercept. I didn't get a defensive trigger here. So both of these attacks are, let's see, they're both 15 and 25 thanks to the trigger, respectively. So I think it's kind of a toss-up whether I want to guard here. If I had a front, I'd probably slap it down. But it looks like I don't. Oh yeah, I don't even play fronts. I just play draws because I think you need the more consistency. I'm just gonna be taking this one. Thankfully, not hitting a defensive or not hitting a trigger there, but I do actually get a defensive there, so I am going to be able to stave off these attacks. We're going to swing at the promo, which I am going to protect because it is a very important card, but unfortunately Maple is going to kill it. But I believe that was a bait because I think I actually have another copy in my hand, and if I don't, I actually do have access to the Ezel skill here, which since I now have 3 or less units, I can check the top 3, and we see me, apologies, but we do actually see a little bit of a cheat here. I checked top 5, because I didn't read the cards, you know. And another cheat here that I'm doing is that I'm actually shuffling the deck. The other cards actually go to the bottom of the deck, you know. It's kind of important to read your cards, but I am going to be Persona Riding here, so the fact that we shuffled does affect a few things, but I am going to be shuffling at the end of this order, I guess. Checking the top 7, another Reign Supreme, King of Beasts, calling out the promo anyway, giving an extra 5k to the called unit, and then of course the grade 1 is also getting another 5k since I did play an order. So we've got basically perfect columns at this point. The Din Drain is going to be recurring that column, and then the promo is going to get itself out of there, meaning that I have a total of 5 attacks this turn. Now, of course, all under Persona Ride, basically on my turn 3. As we swing the promo, gets another 5k to front row rear guards. I think this is another mistake I made. I didn't realize that it only gives power to front row rear guards. So even though this number is correct, I think I gave my opponent the wrong number on the Vanguard swing. But of course, let's see, the promo goes back to the bottom of the deck, leaving it open. This is going to be a massive swing of 43, considering that's a 20k attacker getting a 10k boost from Persona Ride and another 5k from the front row with an 8k boost is going to make it an insanely powerful column, which is why I think that card just jives with the deck so well. I don't understand why no one's really been playing it in all their Ezel lists. Going to be calling out columns like this. I think, oh yes, I decided to call like this because Din Drain can bot deck the other Din Drain, and then of course I can always intercept with this in order to get it out of the way, and that also is a much bigger column. But this Vanguard, I think I told my opponent it was 38, but it is just 33 because Ezel himself gives 10k to himself when he does actually attack and use his skill, plus the Persona Ride. Just gonna be hit with a PG. Checking the Twin Drive, I see another copy of the grade 2 as well as a PG. Going to be swinging the Din Drain column, which is still hitting for 31 with the extra 15k boost, and the 16 it is currently at base. And then this other column is going to be pretty powerful as well, hitting I think also 46 or 48, considering it should be 5 more than the last column. Now Youthberk, thanks to all of my aggression during last turn, is at 5 now. He did hit a defensive trigger there, and we still definitely do have a lot of defensive cards. We've got some triggers there. We've got the cat there, so we're going to be blocking with that, swinging a 48 column. I guess we're kind of just deciding how we want to guard here. We're going to go 40, 50, wait, that's like 40k shield, so that is 63. Unfortunately, just wasting a little bit of shield, but I think that is totally the correct play. Almost forgetting to use my Din Drain there, putting the other Din Drain to the bottom of the deck. Youth is going to be starting off with a Persona Ride, using this skill to check top 3, getting a Cabre off the top, using the skill in order to call a Therapy Angel. So we've got pretty decent columns. The Dolbreg is kind of hurting that it doesn't have a booster, but at the same time, it doesn't really need one. Now that it is your turn for Dolbreg, will be able to actually use his skill in order to get another 10k. But that being said, I think I've managed to amass a decent amount of cards in hand. I am at 4 damage, so I have a little bit of leeway, assuming we don't really see any critical triggers. We did see a PG on my last drive check, and if Youth does not close things out here, looks like we only have 2 cards in hand, meaning that, you know, things aren't really going to be the greatest for us next turn. We're at 5 damage. We have double intercept, but intercepts don't really go as far as they should, I think, sometimes. So we've got a 23. Looks like I also have an Elementaria, so that means I still have 2 PGs. We flip over I believe that was a critical trigger, giving all the effects to Dull Break. Revolve forming into the Tempest, flipping over, as usual, a 0 and a 3. Of course, I don't have any of those grades, so I'm not going to be losing anything to the bottom of the deck. So we do have what looks like 5 cards in hand. That's probably not going to be enough to withstand, especially if I have a Persona Ride. Although if I don't have a Persona Ride, then maybe we can survive it. But Dull Break Swing in here, pretty strong number, 35. Going to be guarding with my OT, which unfortunately I did draw into. But you know, it's not always the worst. But we do have this other swing. We're probably deciding whether we want to go at the Vanguard or the rear guard. We do technically have 2 swings here. A little bit of a mistake, I think, here. I should, if I had 30k shield, I probably should have just, you know, guarded it with that. I forgot that Tempest doesn't actually have any drive checks. He was just a very small swing. But the last swing is going to be swinging at my rear guard, which is totally fine. That is a strong attacker, but that by attacking into that rear guard means I can actually use the Ezel skill here. Of course, using it wrong again, because it is very important that you read your cards. Checking top 5 instead of top 3, and then of course shuffling the deck, even though I wasn't supposed to. Almost forgetting to Persona Ride there, but the Persona Ride here is probably just going to be sealing up the deal, calling out the grade 1 and adding the Blessed Hymn to my hand. And I believe we're actually going to be playing the Blessed Hymn, which is going to give 5k to 2 of my units, going to give me 5k to Ginger Drain, meaning that it is a restanding 13k booster, as well as to my promo, which is going to be giving another 5k to my front row units. So swinging yet again for another 30, 5k from its skill, and then of course 5k from the order. Is going to be calling for a 2-card guard here. It's going to be putting itself to the bottom of the deck, and then this other column is going to be 48 now that Din Drain is at 13, with only 5 cards in hand and 3 more attacks after this. It probably doesn't look like it's going to be a good idea to guard this unless we have 3 PGs, but we are going to be taking it, and unfortunately there is going to be no 6 damage heal. So that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all these things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.